Today, I am going to show you how to make matcha green tea latte ice at home, depending on what equipment you have. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways. Before we continue, click that subscribe button. Select one of the tools that you might have at home. I'm going to show you how to make this drink using a milk frother, a handheld milk frother. I'm going to show you how to make this drink if you have a smoothie blender or a regular blender. And also I'm going to show you how to make iced matcha green tea latte using a matcha whisk and a matcha bowl. For the ingredients, very simple. It's going to be milk of your choice. I'm also going to use 100% pure matcha. Now the recipe depends on whether you are using 100% pure matcha or a matcha mix. So this time it is 100% pure matcha. And for the sweetener, you can use many different types of sweetener. I am going to use sugar syrup here. This is my homemade sugar syrup. If you don't have sugar syrup, you can use maple syrup, honey, or even just plain granulated sugar. Because you're making this at home, I'm going to make this all very simple, and we're going to use a regular glass. So this is a 360 ml glass, so whatever is available to you, use that. For the tools, I'm going to use a teaspoon. I'm going to use my regular teaspoon here, and I just have a stick here just to make sure I get a level teaspoon, and a cup. If you don't have a measuring cup, use a regular cup to measure, and I'm going to make the measurement simple enough to understand. First method, I'm going to show you how to make iced matcha green tea latte using a handheld milk frother. For the ingredients, they're all the same. We are going to use 2/3 cup of fresh milk. I'm going to use my matcha, 1.5 teaspoon, and also I'm going to use my sweetener, which is in this case sugar syrup. To make it simple, we're going to assemble everything in our serving glass. So this is say 12 ounce or 360 ml. Just put half of your milk, do not put all of them. And then I'm going to add my matcha. So it's important that you put the milk before the matcha. Okay, so I'm going to use 1.5 teaspoon. So this is 1 teaspoon and a half teaspoon of my matcha powder. And then I'm going to use the milk frother to froth. So with this milk frother, all you have to do is to dip the wand into the glass, froth. Now matcha is not powder, so it's possible that you won't get everything fully dissolved using a milk frother. But try your very best, and it is the simplest way if you have this at home. Okay? And then to this, I'm going to add my syrup. So just a tiny bit, about 1 teaspoon of your syrup. And just froth it again, just to make sure it is well combined. At this point, you can add the rest of your milk, but I'd like it to have a layered effect. This is so that you can impress your friends when they come over and you serve them iced matcha green tea latte. So once it is dissolved somewhat, add the ice, and then add the rest of your milk. And you have your iced matcha green tea latte at home using an electric milk frother. Next, let's make our iced matcha green tea latte using a smoothie blender. And you can also use a regular blender. For the ingredients, we're going to use the same thing. We're going to use 12 ounce cup here. We need 180 ml of milk. We need our matcha. We need 1.5 teaspoon of matcha powder. And we are going to add our sugar syrup for sweetener. Into the blender, add the milk. This time we're going to put all of them, 180 ml or 2/3 cups. We're going to add our matcha powder, 1.5 teaspoon. We're going to put everything in the blender. I'm going to add my sweetener, just about 5 ml or 1 teaspoon. You can adjust according to your preferences. Now these are home recipes, so if you are making this for business, do check out my book for the commercial recipes. What I'm going to do is to add a little bit of ice here, not a lot. Lock your blender And the first thing that you have to do is to give it a good shake. You might ask, can you use the shaker for pure matcha? As you can see, there's still a lot of bits here. So if you're using a shaker, you just make sure you shake it vigorously. But for this method, I'm going to use my smoothie blender. So we're going to lock our blender in and blend. Blend it for about at least 45 seconds. And you have your matcha green tea latte mix. And what you need to do here is to pour it over ice. Add a little bit of ice and pour the blended matcha mix over. Homemade matcha green tea latte using a smoothie blender. For the final method, we are going to use matcha whisk. So if you're one of those fanatics, then I'm sure you would have a matcha whisk at home and, of course, a matcha bowl. We are going to use matcha, 1.5 teaspoons. We're going to use milk, 180 ml or 6 ounces. And we're going to use our sweetener, which in this case is sugar syrup. Same amount of matcha, 1.5 teaspoons. And to this, I am going to add milk. So just a little bit of milk, about 1/3 of your 180 ml. Then use the matcha whisk to whisk. To note that I'm using milk here instead of water. So this is a homemade iced matcha green tea latte. You'd like it to be really concentrated. We are using cold milk here, so make sure that it's fully combined. Whisk in circular motion or W motion. And now we're ready to assemble the drink. To assemble the drink, we're going to make it layered, just so that, as I've said earlier, you can impress your friends. Ice into your glass. The milk. And if you'd like it to be a little bit sweeter, you can now add your sugar syrup. And now we're going to pour our matcha. Iced matcha green tea latte using a matcha whisk. So let me just try each one of them. Now when you serve this, you must give them a spoon to stir so that they can combine it, or you can give them a straw. If this is at home, you probably would not be using a straw, okay? So make sure you give them a spoon. Let me try the first one using the handheld milk frother. Wow. Taste of the matcha is a little bit powdery in this one. I still could taste some of the matcha powder here. So maybe when you use the milk frother, it's not completely dissolved, but it is good enough, okay? Now this one is using the blender, and absolutely it looks very creamy. And the taste is also very good. Well, I would just say that this one does not look like there's a lot of ice here, but the texture is definitely very smooth, very creamy. Now this one is using the matcha whisk. I usually prefer to use the matcha whisk because somehow I find that the powder is more dissolved or more combined with the milk. Let's find out how it tastes like. I would say in terms of texture, the one that I use, the matcha whisk, has the lightest of the texture amongst all these three, but all equally good. It really depends on what equipment or what tools you have at home. So now you can start making your iced matcha green tea latte at home. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comment below. I'll see you again for more of these video tutorials. Start saving money, make your iced matcha green tea latte at home. Stay tuned for more of these video clips. I'll see you again next time. Thank you for watching. Ciao for now.